Hello, boxing fans. We're back with another news update. I'm your host, Kurt Ward, and I'm joined by Paul Webb and Adam Smith. We're going to be discussing the news, the confirmation that Scott Quigg will be back in the ring, defending his WBA regular title against the man we've seen many times over here, the oldest 29-year-old in the world, Kiko Martinez. Paul, what are your thoughts on the fight? Because I've seen a bit of it's like a 50-50 mix. It's like some saying it's Frampton sloppy seconds, which I don't agree with. I think it's a good fight myself. And the other people are saying well, it is the biggest test of Quigg's career so far. So I don't see how anyone can really complain at it too much.
Yeah, I mean, if you look for champions and fighters, you want them to progress in quality with each defense or each fight. This is definitely at least on paper, the toughest fight that Quigg will have or has had so far. It's also something that Matchroom and Eddie Hearn like to use. It's what I call a barometer fight. So Frampton beat him by decision and has stopped him. Quigg will go into that, and the idea being, and we've seen it with Joshua Johnson and various other fights, can he do a better job than Frampton? That's going to be difficult because Martinez is really good and he's having a real sort of resurgence to his career. I thought he was starting to peter out a little bit, and he'd had some poor losses on his record, but obviously he won the world title and he had a couple of decent defences, and then obviously we ran into the person that we all consider to be one of the best in the division in Carl Frampton. So if Quigg gets him out of there and gets him out there early, which is doable, because like I said, he can be stopped, he can be hurt, then it's a real statement for Quigg. And there are certainly worse fights they could have got out there for him. And it's a division that the very top level is very strong, but going under that is quite poor. And as a defence at the MEN Arena or the Fantasy Arena, I'm pretty happy with it, to be fair. But I can see where the Frampton fans are coming at it and saying it's sloppy seconds. It's not. It's a case of what can I do better than what your man did.
Yeah, and if you look at it as well, in the last, well, over 5 years, I'd say, Kiko Martinez has only lost to Carl Frampton. He's beaten guys like Jason Booth, who I really rated back when he was at his best. Obviously, he was past his best, but he still beat him. And in between the Frampton defeats, I mean, he went on the road. He beat Jonathan Romero, Jeffrey Mathabula, and Hasagawa all on the road as well. So I think it's only Frampton who he's beaten, and for me, there's no indication that he's past his best or he's slipped, which is what some people, mostly Frampton fans, are saying. I mean, what do you think, Adam?
I think that both performances Frampton put in against Martinez were absolutely superb, and as you've said, in between time, he's put in some very decent performances on the road. He will not be phased by all the chip shop customers that turn up at the MEN, and give Scott Quigg a roar. And I think that it's a very dangerous fight for Quigg. I still think that Quigg is unproven and vulnerable to a power puncher. We've seen him put down previously. I know he's learnt from it, but Martinez is genuine power. Quigg's been having it all his own way against recent opponents. Some out the depth, skill wise, some out the depth, weight wise, etc. So there's two ways of looking at it for me. If you look at it and you say the positive way of looking at it, saying it's Quigg's toughest fight of his career, and as Paul said, it's a measurement against Carl Frampton, and it's a step up for Quigg in terms of opponents that we've been waiting for. The second way of looking at it is that it is sloppy seconds, and to help sell the Frampton fight, I think it's difficult. It's a difficult sell. It's only a positive sell. Looking forward to Frampton if Quigg can do a better job than Frampton. So if he's got to do it in 8 rounds or less, basically, for it to be measured that way. If he does it, if he goes the distance, and he's struggled, maybe wobbled along the way, that certainly will be another reason for Frampton and McGuigan to say we want more money, or an excuse not to put another barrier up, kind of thing. It's I think that if we're accepting it's a good fight, which it is, in terms of Quigg's progression, we're also accepting that he is a level below Carl Frampton and a level below the genuine world titles. I know I think Quigg's been a victim of the world title mess for quite a while, gifted the title, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a very good, it's a good fight. I've bought a ticket to go. I think it'll be a good fight, and Scott Quigg is in danger of being knocked out if he's not careful.
Yeah, and we've never seen Scott Quigg, push back. How will he fight on the back foot? Carl Frampton showed that he could do that when he fought Kiko Martinez, because obviously Martinez is going to want to push him back. And, I've gone on record, I've said it, I think Kiko Martinez is going to beat Quigg. I don't rate Quigg at this time, and if he wins this fight, he'll prove something to me personally. And, I won't dismiss the win at all. I know some people will, Quigg is in a lose-lose situation. If he dominates and stops him early, people will just say he's washed up. If he struggles with him, then people will say, you're not as good as Frampton. So he's in a bit of a lose-lose. But for me, a win over Martinez, I think it's easily the biggest test of his career. And like I said, I'm picking Kiko to win. So if Quigg can pull it off, from me, he deserves nothing but props for that. And I think he's getting a bit unfair criticism, but we want to see him take on guys who we know are going to bring it, and I think poor Kiko will definitely do that, no matter win or lose.
Yeah, and there's also one way to look at it for Quigg, which is, let's say Quigg fought anyone else in the top 10 of the WBA, or if he fought any of the other champions that were more of an unknown or someone that Frampton hasn't fought. If we lost against them, then there's always a comeback to it. Well, they can have a rematch or whatever, and they can build the fight up. If Quigg loses to Martinez, that kills the Frampton fight. Absolutely kills it stone dead. And that's the risk. Like I said, the risk reward, which a lot of these promoters bang on about, is very much stacked against Scott Quigg. However, I'm one of those who really do quite rate him. I think he's just not been matched brilliantly. I don't think he's had the best opportunities. He's been fighting guys from lower weight classes, and that regular belt has been a real sort of rope around his neck. But I don't think Quigg Frampton's a foregone conclusion. I really think Quigg is capable of holding himself. And I think that genuinely the team behind him think that's the case. If he does a job on Martinez, and I think he beats Martinez, I'm not sure if he stops him, but I do think he beats him. I think it will see an older version of Martinez. It won't be the same guy that, has been putting on such impressive performances. He does blow a bit hot and cold. He does have power, but Quigg, I mean, he's been down a couple of times. He's been hurt before, but I don't see him getting stopped. I think he wins. I think he wins it well. And the minute he wins his fight, it gives Matchroom that opportune moment to call out Frampton, who, let's be honest, doesn't have a fight signed, hasn't got any indication that he's going to have a fight signed, and he's sort of set twiddling his thumbs at the moment. And hopefully this will push a fight between the two together later on in the year.
Well, Adam, Paul has said he thinks Quigg wins. I've picked Kiko. How do you see the fight going?
I think Quigg wins in a difficult fight. I think we can class it as a calculated risk by Matchroom. They've tried all sorts to get Cole Frampton in the ring. Some embarrassing, some wrong, some right. This is a calculated risk, and all involved in Team Quigg, including promoters, management, etc., trainer, believe that he can win this and win it well. I think he will win probably on points with some rocky moments along the way. And where that leaves us in terms of a quick fight, not got a clue, to be honest.